Hello everyone! I hope you have a great day today. I'm Cyril Jane Ayuban, and for today's discussion, I will be discussing the development of scoring rubrics, the analytic and holistic rubrics. To start with, what is analytic rubric? Analytic rubric articulates levels of performance for each criterion. The teacher could assess whether the student has done poor, good, or excellent job of creating ambience and distinguish that from how well the student did on a particular area of that task performed by the student. An analytic rubric resembles a grid with the criteria for student product listed in the leftmost column and with levels of performance listed across the top row, often using numbers and or descriptive tags. When scoring with an analytic rubric, each of the criteria is scored individually. The cells within the center of the rubric may left blank or may contain descriptions of what the specified criteria look like for each level of performance. Now, an analytic rubrics break down the characteristic of an assignment into parts, allowing the scorer to itemize and define exactly what aspects are strong and which ones need improvement. In this case, you'd give your loved one a separate score for each category. So what is the advantage of the analytic rubric? Advantages of the analytic rubrics is it is provide useful feedback on areas of strength and weakness. Criterion can be weighted to reflect the relative importance of each dimension. So I will show you the example of the analytic rubric for grading on oral presentations. As you can see in the screen, we have here below expectation, satisfactory, exemplary, and the score. Also at the left part, the organization, content, style, and the total score. As you can see here below expectation, the description are no apparent organization, evidence is not used to support assertions. So the score will be 0 to 2. The content is inaccurate or overly general. The speaker appears anxious and uncomfortable. Presentation is too short or entire paragraphs are read verbatim from the article. For the satisfactory, we have here the presentation has a focus and provides some evidence that supports conclusions. And the score is 3 to 5 and the content is generally accurate but incomplete, that would be 5 to 7. And the speaker is generally relaxed and comfortable. Presentation is a decent length and students' own words are used for the summary. It should be 3 to 6. And for the exemplary, we have here the presentation is carefully organized and provides convincing evidence to support conclusions. 6 to 8. And the content is complete and accurate. 10 to 13, and the speaker is relaxed and comfortable. Presentation is the right length. Student demonstrates ability to speak extemporaneously and make eye contact with other members of the class. 7 to 9. So that's the example of the analytic rubric. So again, let me remind you that analytic rubric is an assessment instrument for scoring a construct response or a feedback. So the response can be written response, performance, or a product. The response can be from an individual or group. An analytic rubric includes a score scale of 1 to 4 points or 1 to 5 points with descriptors or criteria for assigning the points. So this article provides instructions for developing analytic rubrics that produce scores that have a high degree of validity in terms of using and interpreting the score as measured of an outcome attainment. And now let's proceed to the holistic rubric. Okay, what is holistic rubric? Holistic rubric, in contrast, does not list separate levels of performance for each criterion. Instead, a holistic rubric assigns a level of performance by assessing performance across multiple criteria as a whole. An holistic rubric consists of a single scale with all criteria to be included in the evaluation being considered together. Example for this is the clarity, organization, and the mechanics. With holistic rubric, the rater assigns a single score, usually on 1 to 4 or 1 to 6 point scale. Based on overall judgment of the student work, the rater matches an entire piece of student work to a single description on the scale. Now let's move on to the advantages of the holistic rubrics. Emphasis on what the learner is able to demonstrate rather than what she cannot do. Saves time by minimizing the number of decisions raters make and can be applied consistently by trained raters, increasingly reliability. How holistic rubrics useful to teachers? So the holistic rubrics allows you to assess the student's overall performance on an activity or assessment based on a single scale using predefined achievement levels. So with holistic rubric, the instructor assigns a single score, usually on a 1 to 4 point scale based on judgment of the student's overall work. As you can see, the sample in the screen, it usually on a 1 to 4 point scale based on judgment of the student's overall work. Here is on the top, we have here the 1, 2, 3, 4, and for the descriptor of 1, the work does not show understanding of foreground, middle ground, and background, atmospheric perspective, and overlapping and size variation. And for the 2, the work shows a developing understanding of, and the third one is the work shows proficient understanding, and the last one is the work shows exceptional understanding of. So what is the importance of using rubrics? So rubrics help students, parents, and teacher identify what quality work is, and students can judge their own work and accept more responsibility of the final product. Rubrics help the teacher to easily explain to the student why they got the grade that they received. And to always keep on your mind what are the difference between holistic and analytic rubrics. The holistic rubrics is a single criterion rubrics with one-dimensional used to assess participants' overall achievement on an activity or item based on predefined achievement levels, while the analytic rubrics is a two-dimensional rubrics with levels of achievement as columns and assessment criteria as rows. And that's for the discussion of the analytic and holistic rubrics. I hope you learned something about my topic, and I will now give the virtual floor to the next reporter. Thank you.